What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Palantir. Palantir has their earnings right around the corner, Monday after hours. I want to give you a quick overview of what the estimates are, where it might be going, and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Palantir on Friday did have a nice recovery from Thursday's pullback, so it went up 0.87%, but with their earnings right around the corner, that's going to be the big catalyst, either moves it or breaks it even further. So currently 9 cents is the earnings per share estimate. That's based on 15 analysts, low end of 8 cents, high end of 10, and that does represent 29.8% year over year growth. Consensus for revenue, 703.69 million, and that is represented by 12 analysts, high end of 724 mil, low end of 698. I can't see that being feasible, but regardless, that 703 does represent a 26.07% year-over-year growth. So I think Palantir is a absolute beast of a stock, because just generally over the last 1 year, it is up 180.97%. So amazing stuff, right? Anyone who's been relatively bearish on Palantir kind of looks like a fool for the most part. But with it going up as much as it is, I feel like a lot of people, dependent on just where it lands post earnings, people are going to be questioning the multiple. And I think that's happened to it in the past, where regardless of the data, I think they actually did have a triple beat, but people just said, hey, Palantir, you're not worth, I think at the time it was like $25. So it had a very significant pullback to, I think, 20 or something along those lines. But once again, this time around, with it going up significantly more than that, people are going to be looking at the multiples, because the PE right now is 247.4, forecast, or the future is 105.9. So a lot of people are just questioning Palantir's growth, year-over-year growth, and just looking at a very common comparable, the PS ratio. So I see a lot of people kind of comparing SoFi, for instance, which has had phenomenal growth, but the actual PS for them is like 4, whereas Palantir's is at 37.9. So it's, yes, I know you can't really compare apples to oranges and stuff like that, but regardless of the data, let's say Palantir does beat, they could still go down as a byproduct of that. So just kind of be aware of that. And based on this, there is a implied volatility of roughly, give or take, positive or negative 11.32%. But that's kind of been the norm all the way back to 2022. It's always anticipated to be like 11 to, what's the high end, 14%. So just be prepared for that. In the past, though, Palantir, like I said, has done fairly well based on the results. So no real reason to kind of think otherwise, or no changes for that. But going over some data, one thing that I like to bring up in all of my videos is shorts, what they are doing. Not because stocks are squeezed plays, but it's good to analyze what they actually do. So for instance, shorts did return 975,000 shares on Friday. 3.91% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 80.52 million shares. Just generally looking right here, you can kind of see shorts have started to get back into Palantir, not to like squeeze levels or anything noticeable, but they are starting to slowly get in. So it goes to show that they feel that there might be a little bit more downside coming. I don't know if that's linked to more macro events or specific to Palantir, but still something to take note of. Also, another thing to take note of is the cost to borrow minimum is negative, so negative 0.2%. And so that does show that there is brokers out there physically paying people to short Palantir. So there's a little bit of manipulation that is happening behind the scenes, and that's actually what I brought up in my last video in regards to Palantir. But quickly moving on, so on Friday there was 39 million in calls, 22 million in puts, and just generally it looks like people are anticipating for Palantir to be kind of around that $45 to $46 range, as high as possibly 47. And of course that mimics exactly what the implied volatility is forecasted to be around. And then on the put side of it, it is anticipated for it to be sub, looks like anywhere from like 35 to 36. So that's a little bit more than that 11.32% that was there, but Still, like I said, just anticipate a lot of volatility. If you don't know options, highly suggest in researching them because they can be very beneficial, both if you are bullish or bearish. But quickly going over some support and resistance points just in case you are curious. Right now with it at $41.92, it is trading between these 2 points. So the pivot in this R1, so $40.92 is that strong support, and then $44.39 is going to be that next strong resistance slash target. But I think the implied volatility is anticipating for it to be between that kind of S1 possibly, and maybe around that R1 to R2 and smack dab in the middle there. So yeah, just be prepared for a lot of volatility, of course. Not to say Palantir is going to go down or up. In my opinion, I'm not even touching Palantir options leading into their earnings, only because it could go either direction, even if, once again, Palantir does have good earnings. But quickly going over to IBKR, on the actual chart itself, I have the ALMA Super Trend 50, 100, 200-day moving averages. So right now it's above all the key ones. Over the last little bit, it did pull back below the ALMA. So I think we all can understand or kind of agree that since pretty much the second week of October, it's been lagging. So it hasn't seen that phenomenal growth. So there is that certain level of hesitation. At the same time, shorts have been increasing. So this is why people are just now questioning and wondering what the hell is going to happen. Some key points on the actual chart itself to watch for is that super trend indicator, so roughly around that $40 and change mark. Then yeah, it could really break down, and conveniently that was that pivot point based on the technicals. And MACD is looking a little bit bearish, but like I mentioned, nothing really new for or changes for the earnings per share. So it's pretty much sitting at that 9 cents and whatever else, 703 million for the revenue. One thing that I did find rather odd though, and which is another good representation of just people might be both bullish on Palantir, but essentially we all might be thinking that the multiples are just wrong. But analyst ratings, normally you don't get analyst ratings leading into earnings event, right? Because that earnings event is going to kind of change the dynamic of the company. And so when it comes down to, for instance, Rishi from RBC, who has a 49% success rating, to give a $9 sell 5 days before earnings, that's kind of messed up. And so once again, it just shows that there is certain level of manipulation that's happening behind the scenes. Like I said, brokers physically paying people to short it, and then just this individual right here, it's questionable. But aside from that though, you also had one with Mizuho Greg, who has a 58% success rating, sell $30 price target, and then Daniel Ives Wedbush $45 buy. So it's hard to take him seriously, only because A, he has a 50% success rating, and then B, he's been kind of the poster boy for Palantir. He's been re-rating himself all the time when there hasn't been that big of events. And so it was 30, and then I remember him saying he was a bull case at 50, but it was just, I don't know, it's hard to take those types of individuals seriously. But regardless, let me know your thoughts. If you are playing options, where do you see things going? Do you think it's going to be breaking higher, lower? Again, a lot of this is just short-term stuff, me just talking about what could happen in basically a week or a couple of weeks. But if you do believe in Palantir, which is fair to assume that a lot of people do, this is what you want to see: continued year-over-year growth. So double digit for the earnings per share and continued double digit for revenue. So I think bigger picture is going to continue to be a beast. And once they generate $1 billion in revenue in one quarter, you know you hit it big at that stage. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Take advantage of this promo because it gives you 8 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000, so this is a kick-ass deal. Link to this is in the description below and also the comments. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.